Those are nice homes out here. Ten four, thank you. And we're not streaming yet, is that correct? I got you on ICOM. Okay. Good morning, everybody watching on our various ABC7 streaming platforms. You're looking at live pictures right now from Anaheim. We're live in Air 7 HD. Gabe Santos here, pilot Tyler, Marcel on camera. You're looking at the westbound lanes of the 91. That blue car was the subject of a pursuit earlier this morning. We believe the pursuit happened, about an hour or so ago. It was a Corona PD pursuit, Corona Police Department. Unknown why the pursuit actually started, but at some point, the vehicle that Corona PD was pursuing came to a stop here on the 91 freeway. Copy, thank you. At which point, when the blue vehicle at the center of your screen came to a stop, that was the subject of that Corona Police Department pursuit. Officers determined that the driver was armed. At that point, Corona PD began to treat this more so as a standoff. They brought in their Bearcat. They called Anaheim PD. Anaheim PD also has a Bearcat that they were able to provide to the scene here. Marcel, if we widen out the shot just a little bit, you'll be able to see the enormous police presence we have here. Most of those are Corona PD vehicles. You also have CHP here assisting, and that is because this is a total freeway closure. It's a SIG alert, an ABC7 traffic alert, in effect until further notice. Both sides of the 91 freeway are shut down, and that is because officers are operating on the assumption that this person is an armed individual and is dangerous. That's why they have those two Bearcats there on the in front and behind this pursuit vehicle. And for the safety of the driving public, they've shut down both directions of the 91 freeway. So as you can imagine, this is creating a huge traffic mess. If you're coming westbound on the 91, they're forcing you off at Imperial Highway. And I'm looking out the helicopter window here, and I'm seeing that very large backup just extending all the way back to the 71 on this 91 freeway. If you're lucky enough to be at the front of that backup, you're being forced off at Imperial. There are some people that are stuck a little closer to the scene here. Eventually, what CHP will do in a lot of situations like this is they will start getting some of this traffic turned around, and they will have to exit on the on-ramp. I see that happening towards the back of this little bit of backup. As we maintain a close-up shot of the suspect vehicle. We have seen a driver in that vehicle moving around a little bit. Once again, police are operating on the assumption that he is armed and dangerous, and they are using the best methods they have at their disposal at this point to keep the public safe and try and convince this individual to give up. So we talked about the traffic on the westbound 91. That's backed up for about 5 miles. The eastbound 91, you got the same situation going on there. You can get off on the 57. The 57 isn't that bad, and that would be the best way to kind of get off the 91 and to get onto a different highway to get to where you need to go. But the 91, it's just not going to be a good option for you. You can, if you're coming from Santa Ana, Irvine, I would just take that toll road, the 261 to the 241. That'll get you to a clear portion of the 91, and then you'll be able to get over to Corona or wherever in the Inland Empire you need to get to. The 55 also impacted. It looks like the ramp from the 55 north to the 91 is shut down. So that 55 north is going to be off limits for you. You're going to want to get off at Catella or somewhere else before you hit that 91, because you're not going to get past the 91. But a very tense situation for SWAT officers from Corona Police and Anaheim PD as they work to negotiate with this armed suspect inside this blue vehicle after a pursuit, a Corona Police Department pursuit. Ended up on the 91 westbound, stopping here at the 91 and Lakeview. What was that? 5 minutes, copy. Brian. What's up, Brian? Good morning. If you're watching us on our streaming platforms, abc7.com, also on YouTube, Facebook Live, and wherever you stream ABC7. We're going to keep these live pictures up for the time being. This is now a standoff of an armed suspect on the 91 freeway. We've talked about the closures. We're going to go on the air on television in a couple minutes here to update our television viewers as we go between live with Kelly and Mark to The View, followed by Eyewitness News at 11 a.m. We're going to do a little update here for our TV viewers once again in a couple minutes. But in the meantime, stay with us on our streaming platforms because we will hold these live pictures up for you to see if anything develops. A traffic nightmare underway here in Anaheim. We're south of the 91. The traffic there is on the westbound side. So it's going to be very difficult for them to get on the westbound side. It is, let's see. It is before Lakeview. So Lakeview's on the left-hand side of your screen. They could be well, they might be in the line of fire if they try and get on Lakeview. The PD has that bridge blocked off. Are there any cars in the right shoulder? I see PD using the right shoulder. There's more units racing up on the right shoulder right now, a little to the left. They're much further ahead to the left, Marcel. Keep panning. Right there. These looks like more SWAT units. So that could be an option. It looks like they're getting people off on Imperial, though. Yeah. Okay, 2 minutes. Yeah, so Jay, it's possible to get on from Imperial. They could try Lakeview, but there's a lot of closures to deal with there. Lots of traffic on Santa Ana Canyon Road. Yeah. Standing by. 2 schools on the area on lockdown, copy. 30. 15. I'm Gabe Santos on Air 7 HD, bringing you this live breaking news update from Anaheim. We're looking at the end of a pursuit. This pursuit started at 8 a.m. It is of an armed suspect in that blue vehicle. That pursuit came to an end here on the 91 freeway, and the 91 freeway in both directions is now closed because of that armed individual. 2 schools on lockdown, Crescent Elementary and Crescent Primary School. We'll have more in the next hour. Thank you. Okay. We got time to. Well, we're still. Yeah. Go ahead, Jay. Copy. What was the cross again that it started? What was the cross where this all started? Copy. Once again, thanks, sir. Yep. Go ahead, Jay. Okay, copy. Nothing. Once again, thanks everybody for joining us on the ABC7 streaming platforms, abc7.com, and wherever you stream ABC7. We're following this breaking news in Anaheim. This is the end of a pursuit. This pursuit started in the city of Corona PD. Began this pursuit of a male. They're saying it's a 40-year-old male. The pursuit continued on the West 91 and somehow came to a stop here just before Lakeview. Let me get that cross for you here. Lakeview Avenue. It's Lakeview Avenue. On this westbound 91. This all came to a stop just before Lakeview Avenue, and because Corona PD believes that this suspect is armed, they are operating with extreme caution, bringing in 2 Bearcats, calling in Anaheim Police Department as well to add their Bearcat for extra support in front of the vehicle. And they have closed both directions of the 91 freeway, 91 westbound and 91 eastbound. 91 westbound is closed at the 55, so you're going to have to get off on the 55 freeway, head southbound there, and the 91, just getting my bearings up here in Air 7 HD. So that's the 91 eastbound, where that's closed. You're being forced off at the 55, and the 91 westbound, you're being forced off at Imperial. The backup on the 91 westbound is about 5 miles right now, all the way back to the 71. You're being forced off at Imperial, and there's a number of individuals that are actually stuck on the freeway behind this standoff scene. You could see the police tape and a number of onlookers and people that are just kind of stuck at this point out of their vehicle, just waiting to see how this comes to an end. Eventually, in situations like this, CHP does have the capability to turn around some traffic, and I can see some of the traffic in the very rear side of this stuck portion of the traffic now. They're actually beginning to turn around and get off on the on-ramp on Imperial. You could see there those cars going in the wrong direction. That is the on-ramp to the westbound 91 from southbound Imperial, and those cars are using that to get off the freeway and get back to where they need to go. So this is just becoming a traffic nightmare for anyone that needs to use the 91. If you have to use the 91, don't. It's not an option for you right now. Try and go up to the 60. If you're coming from Orange County, you could use those toll roads from Santa Ana and Irvine. You could use that 241, the 261 to the 241 to get to the 91 West. That'll get you past this incident. It's a toll road, yes, but it'll avoid you a big headache as far as dealing with the traffic. This is also affecting the 55 North. The 55 North, the ramp from there to the 91 in both directions, that's shut down. So a lot of backup on the 55 as well. Copy. Once again, Corona PD is telling us this is a 40-year-old male in this vehicle that is refusing to exit. They do believe he is armed. We were seeing reports earlier that the person did appear to have a gun in their hand. And that is why Corona PD and Anaheim PD are taking no chances here, bringing out each Bearcat that they have respectively and pinning the vehicle in the front and the back. They're making periodic call-outs to the individual, which you can see they have their window partially rolled down. So we do believe that there's some communication going on between this suspect and officers. There's a lot of movement going on in that driver's seat, but the driver really has nowhere to go at this point. The driver just is stuck, literally, being that his vehicle is pinned in, and there's nowhere to go except to give himself up. But once again, officers do believe that the person inside that vehicle is armed, and they want that person to give themselves up and end this peacefully. We have officers from Corona PD, Anaheim PD, CHP, all on scene here, the K9 unit there as well. Officers have less than lethal weapons, and of course the lethal weapons as well. There's a CHP helicopter overhead as well as a Riverside Police Department helicopter, which, if I'm not mistaken, does offer support to Corona Police Department, so that's why they have made their presence known here as well. And this becomes one of those situations where it's an armed standoff, but officers have the element of time on their side, and the suspect does not. They can wait all they want. It's going to start getting uncomfortable for them. They may get hungry, they may get tired, they may have to go to the bathroom. But for these officers here, there's plenty of them and only one of these suspects. So the officers can take breaks, they can switch out, they can leave those Bearcat vehicles in place. And just wait out this suspect. But hopefully keeping in mind those individuals that are stuck in this backup, 5 miles long in either direction on the 91 freeway. Hopefully this comes to an end without too much inconvenience to the commuting public. The 91, a major thoroughfare between West Orange County, South LA County. Anybody that needs to commute between those areas and the IE and Corona. Looking at some alternate routes here, it does appear, looking out the helicopter window, that Imperial Highway, there's not too much backup on that. So Imperial Highway might be a good option for you if you're coming from Orange, Tustin, Santa Ana. If you need to get north, you can. Just dealing with a couple of radio frequency situations up here. If you hear me pause for momentarily, that's what I'm doing. But once again, if you do need to get from South Orange County or Central Orange County to that eastbound 91, you can still use Imperial Highway. Imperial Highway is a good option to get you to that eastbound 91. So that's an option for you. Of course, the toll roads are always available for you. The 261, the 241, those will take you straight to the 91, and you'll bypass this entire situation. If you're coming from the west, you have Imperial Highway as an option. You can even take Imperial Highway directly to the 91. Marcel, our photographer, is taking a look further down on the 91 freeway where you can see that's the bulk of the backup, that mess of cars there. These are people going westbound on the 91 being forced off on Imperial. And after they get forced off on Imperial, they're being sent north. A good alternate for them is just to take Orange Thorpe to continue west around this situation, and then you can get back on the 91 afterwards. Pretty much as soon as you're west of the 55. And this now is the bulk of cars that are stuck behind the barricade itself, so they can't move anywhere until the cars behind them are able to turn around and get off on the get off onto Imperial Highway. So you have those vehicles getting off on Imperial Highway, and the vehicles that were already traveling westbound getting off on Imperial Highway. Surprisingly, Imperial Highway doesn't seem too choked up, so that will be a good alternate for you if you're coming northbound once again. And if you want to continue eastbound, you could still use Imperial Highway for that. I'm taking a look at Santa Ana Canyon, just south of the 91 freeway, near this whole situation, and it does appear to be, looks like that's everybody's first choice. So you are seeing a little bit of backup on that one. You're definitely seeing the volume build as you go through the 55 through Anaheim Hills. were doing a lot of stories this morning on Memorial Day travel, and this is definitely going to impact a lot of that. A lot of people traveling to various destinations today, this holiday weekend, Memorial Day weekend. This is definitely going to put a damper on some of that travel. Once again, this is because the 91 freeway is completely closed in both directions in the city of Anaheim proper. And this is right before the Lakeview Avenue overpass. The scene itself is in the westbound lanes, but this is affecting both east and westbound lanes because Corona PD, the agency that is kind of directing this entire operation right now, they are operating on the assumption that this suspect is armed. They're refusing to exit their vehicle. They do believe he has a weapon. Yeah, and as Marcel zooms in, you can see a little bit of what appears to be a bullet hole in that driver's side passenger window. Unclear if that was something, maybe a less than lethal weapon fired by the police department into the vehicle, possibly a gas canister, something of that nature. And once again, you're looking at the westbound 91, the lanes of the westbound 91, where that blue car was the subject of a pursuit earlier this morning. It started about 8 a.m. in Corona. And they have the eastbound and the westbound lanes of the 91 shut down. They also have the northbound 55 shut down. There are 2 schools in the area on lockdown, once again, because this is a armed individual. Officials are taking every precaution to keep everybody safe. Crescent Elementary and Crescent Primary School. Those schools, Marcel, if you could widen out the shot just a little bit, and to the bottom right of the frame, that's going to be what we're told is Crescent Elementary School, and that school is one of the schools on lockdown, as you can see, due to the close proximity to the scene here. Jay, let me know if you have any updates on the schools. There's Orange Unified Pre-K is right next to Crescent Elementary School. I can't imagine they would not also be on lockdown. Canyon High School, yeah. Canyon High School in the vicinity. That's on the east side of Imperial Highway. So Canyon High School may be further, far enough away from this situation where they, we haven't heard anything about that high school being on lockdown, but of course check with your local school officials for confirmation of that. If you have any young ones that go to schools in this area, once again, this is the 91 between Imperial Highway and Lakeview Avenue. This is a standoff involving an armed suspect. The suspect is a male in his 40s. Got involved with in a pursuit with Corona PD at about 8 a.m. this morning. That pursuit continued westbound on the 91, Corona PD trailing. And somehow, we're working to gather this specific information, but somehow that pursuit vehicle came to a stop here in that number 2 lane in the middle of these westbound 91 lanes. The suspect refused to exit the vehicle and became a standoff. Officers are operating on the assumption that this person is armed And that's why they've closed both sides of the freeway. And you can see there they even have some caution tape out to give themselves a buffer and to hopefully keep those people that are stuck in the backup on the side of safety. Checking fuel right now. We have we got like 45 or 50 minutes, Jay. So we can do the top of the 11, but then we would have to go. Look at that, a drone on station here. I believe that would be from one of the SWAT teams here, whether it's Corona PD or Anaheim PD. What's that one on the far right side? Is that another Corona PD? Okay, yeah, there's another Corona PD Bearcat vehicle. So Corona really bringing in all their resources here outside of the city limits, but still a very serious situation for their police department to be dealing with. And that's why they've also called for the support of Anaheim PD. You can see the Anaheim PD Bearcat on the left-hand side of your screen. Also CHP working the scene here, helping with the closures. I'm looking a little bit ahead at the intersection of Imperial Highway and the 91, and you can see a lot of those big rigs have been able to be turned around, and they are now going eastbound in the westbound lanes just to help clear some of that traffic. We've been on station here for a little over 25 minutes. We've seen a little bit of movement from this armed suspect. Marcel says copy.
Copy, copy.
Copy. We'll try for John Wayne. Jay, can you repeat to me what the start of the pursuit was for? Yeah. Do you know what led to the stop on the freeway here? Copy. Whatever you... Whatever you think is good. All right, thank you everybody for joining us on our ABC7 streaming app, abc7.com, and wherever you stream ABC7 Eyewitness News. You're hearing a little bit of the dialogue between myself, my pilot, and our assignment desk back in Glendale as we work to verify all the facts with this situation. We're in contact with Anaheim PD, Corona PD, just trying to figure out what exactly led up to this, what has become a traffic nightmare on the first day of the Memorial Day weekend, the Memorial Day travel rush. The 91 freeway through Anaheim completely shut down after a pursuit comes to an end and turns into an armed standoff. The pursuit started at 8 a.m. in the city of Corona near McKinley and Griffin. This is an armed stalking suspect, and when Corona PD officers attempted to pull the suspect over, the suspect continued to drive on and got on the 91 westbound, ended up here, somehow came to a stop on the 91 westbound just before Lakeview Avenue. And that's where the standoff continues now. You have these two Bearcat vehicles that have been called to the scene because officers do believe that the suspect is armed. And those Bearcat vehicles, the one on the left from Anaheim PD, the one on the right from Corona PD, keeping this suspect pinned in. We've only seen one person, or at least movement from one person in this vehicle so far. We do not believe there's any other occupants in the vehicle right now. And that's led to the shutdown of both directions of the 91 freeway in Anaheim and the lockdown of at least 2 schools. We know that Crescent Elementary School is on lockdown and Crescent Primary School also on lockdown. Those schools are less than 1,000 feet away from the actual standoff scene in the neighborhood just past the bottom of the frame. We'll keep the camera tight on the suspect vehicle here just in case anything happens. You can see those SWAT officers from Corona PD keeping their weapons trained on the vehicle just in case anything happens. You have a helicopter from the California Highway Patrol over the scene here because California Highway Patrol is helping with the shutdown of the freeway, and they're helping clear some of the traffic. You have traffic on the westbound 91 that is being forced off on Imperial, and you also have traffic that is stuck right behind this barricade because they can't go forward any further. CHP is working with each driver individually to get them turned around to go eastbound in the westbound lanes and find an exit for them, it looks like on Imperial Highway. So they are getting on Imperial Highway on the on-ramps there. The Lakeview Avenue Bridge is shut down. Officers are shutting that down for the safety of the commuting public, so you can't cross the 91 on Lakeview. That's off limits. The westbound lanes, the eastbound lanes of the 91, they're shut down at the 55, so you have about a 5-mile backup there. You're backed up past the 57 right now, and you're being forced onto the 55 south. The 55 north also being affected here because you can't get on the 91 either east or west. Some good alternates here would be Imperial Highway just to get around this closure. You could use the toll roads if you're coming from Orange County, the 241 or the 261 to the 241. If you take those north, that'll get you back onto the 91 after this closure, and you can continue on eastbound. That's if you're going from west to east. If you're going from east to west, I would avoid the 91 altogether. You'll get stuck in some of that traffic if you try and go all the way to the 241, because once again, there's about 5 miles of backup here going in that westbound direction. You could get on the 71 and take the 60 to head west. That might be one of your best options here. Carbon Canyon is also available for you. I see a lot of vehicles taking Santa Ana Canyon Road. There appears to be a lot of street lights on that stretch, so that's going to be a slow roll for you if that's what you choose to take. But you can get off the 55 at Catella, make your way up to Santa Ana Canyon Road and continue eastbound if you so choose. That's how you get from west to east. One more time, Jay. I was listening to some of the radio traffic here. Copy that. Yeah, all the nearby roads are really backed up. Oh. Where are they, do you know? Okay, copy. We're about 30 minutes from the start of Eyewitness News at 11 a.m. We have a reporter en route to the scene here. We have another camera crew on the ground. They're working to get additional information on the closures, the school lockdowns, and what else is going on there on the ground. Meanwhile, on Air 7 HD, we're going to keep these pictures up for as long as we can so that we can hopefully bring you the conclusion of this standoff if it happens soon, and hopefully it does happen soon, just because of the traffic implications here. As we mentioned, holiday weekend, Memorial Day, a lot of people hitting the roads today, and this is definitely going to get in the way of that for a lot of people. We're hearing some radio traffic between the police helicopters. It does appear that the Riverside Police Department helicopter has left the scene for now, leaving just the CHP helicopter on scene here. And they have told us that SWAT teams on the ground are really in a waiting mode right now. They want to wait and see if they can convince the suspect to give up on their own, just because they are operating on the assumption that he is armed. You can see one of the drones there on the ground. We believe that that is a Corona Police Department drone. A lot of unmarked units from Corona PD here as well, a very large showing from that police department. CHP also on scene assisting in the closure, and once again Anaheim PD doing their part, providing the Bearcat on the left side of your screen. That's probably Lakeview, because I see Lakeview shut down northbound, but Santa Ana is open. Okay. We're taking a look at Lakeview Avenue, the bridge going over the 91. That bridge is shut down. You're not going to be able to get across the 91 freeway on Lakeview. So if that's a route that you use, that's off limits right now. If you use that to get to the elementary school here, that's off limits right now. Once again, the elementary schools that we know are on lockdown are Crescent Elementary School and Crescent Primary School. And that's just because of the close proximity to the standoff scene itself. Those schools are just to the south of the freeway here. We're seeing a good chunk of this stuck traffic finally being able to turn around and exit the 91, going the wrong way, and then exiting on the wrong off-ramp onto Imperial Highway. But in this case, they're being told to do so by CHP, because that's really the only way. So all the traffic that's stuck behind this standoff situation, they're turning around and they're getting off on Imperial Highway, which is a good sign, because these poor folks here on the 91 that got stuck behind this pursuit, they've been stuck here for a little over an hour. And we see some people right behind the police line that are already out of their cars, just kind of walking around. Surely at this point, they've hopefully looked at their phones and been able to figure out what is going on. And then it just becomes a waiting game, so the vehicles and trucks behind them, and there's some big rigs on these westbound 91 lanes that will have to do a multi-point U-turn and back out of there. So it'll take a little while to get all of the stuck traffic out of the way, but that doesn't end the entire situation. That doesn't help the standoff, where you still have this one individual, we believe. And what are the names? All right, so we're just getting some new information from our assignment desk at ABC7. On those two schools in the nearby vicinity, we have Crescent Elementary School and Crescent Primary School. They are currently on lockdown just because of the nearby vicinity to this armed standoff situation. Officers have arrived at those schools, and they are allowing parents to show up and pick up their students with proper IDs. So if you have a student, a child at one of these schools, once again, Crescent Elementary School and Crescent Primary School, you may go to that school directly and pick up your child. That just coming to us from the local authorities and the school officials. Once again, looking at some of the backup there, you have some motorcycles stuck there, which I'm not sure, maybe no one's told the motorcycles that they could just, you know, take maybe the center divider out of there, unless the center divider is blocked off a little further down. But as we've been saying, they are starting to turn around some of this stuck traffic, so eventually it may take a good 15, 20 minutes, maybe more. They'll be able to get a lot of this traffic turned around and out of here and away from the standoff scene itself, which will be good news for everybody. It'll allow these people that have been stuck for quite some time to be able to find a way to get on their way. Yep. What's up? Oh, okay. 8 minutes until the cut-in. 8 minutes. Okay, copy that. Are we out of Santiago for IFB? Oh. Would you be able to do a little left pedal turn? A little left pedal turn? I'm just trying to see if it improves the IFB at all. That's okay. Try and go left. Do you want to try Wilson? It's about the same. 5 minutes. Once again, if you're watching us on our ABC7 streaming platforms, we'll keep these live pictures up for you, monitoring this pursuit termination and standoff of an armed suspect. Corona PD, CHP, Anaheim PD, all on scene here. If you have a television on and you're watching The View, we're going to go on television very briefly to update our television audience on the situation, and then shortly after we'll have Eyewitness News at 11 a.m. where we will have all the day's top stories and the latest on this breaking news in Anaheim. Yeah. Yeah. You're going to try oat? Okay. It's probably, I'm just hearing the programming too. If everybody decides to go there, then it might not. Go again for R7? I got you. Thank you, thank you. Three minutes? Yeah. Hey Larry, this is a 30, right? Copy. Two away. Stand by with us here on our streaming platforms. We're going to go on television for a 30-second hit during The View. And then we'll be back with our online audience, updating you. No further movement, though, obviously, from that suspect inside the vehicle, besides maybe moving his arms around a little bit. Although I see a face, I see a hand. It's hard to tell whether the suspect is holding a phone or a weapon. We did hear reports earlier that the suspect may have been holding a weapon. He does appear to be in somewhat of an agitated state. 1 minute. 30. $15. I'm Gabe Santos on Air 7 HD over Anaheim, and you're looking at the scene of the end of a pursuit. A barricaded suspect that is armed. You have Corona police, Anaheim police. This started out of Corona, where that pursuit began, of an armed stalking suspect, and it somehow came to an end in the middle of the freeway. Both the 91 in the east and the westbound directions are shut down, and 2 schools are in lockdown. More at 11 a.m. Thanks, Larry. Okay. No, David. All right, to all of our loyal streaming viewers, you heard us there update the television audience. Excuse me. And that's about what we know right now, and it just kind of becomes a waiting game between the police departments here and this suspect. Marcel, let's push back into that driver's seat again and see if we can see any movement from that driver. And we do see just kind of, you know, anxious movements, a little bit of movement of the head. We had movements of the arm earlier. There does appear to be something in that driver's left hand. Unsure what, and it's just hard to tell what from this perspective with the window just cracked there at the top. It's unclear what he's saying or if he's saying anything to officers. You have SWAT officers behind the Bearcat, behind this car. Looks to be maybe a Honda Accord, a mid-2010 model, mid-2010s. There's those SWAT officers, the SWAT K-9 unit, and all of Corona Police, maybe not all of Corona Police, but a lot of officers from the Corona Police Department here. And then you have these unfortunate drivers that got caught right behind the standoff itself. And as we've been kind of monitoring, Marcel, let's give a wider look and show kind of the end of this backup. The vehicles that are stuck right behind the barricade, there's a lot less of them because they've been able to turn a lot of these guys around and get them off on Imperial Highway, and that's been really helpful. So people who've been stuck for about an hour are now finally able to get moving, and they're going the wrong way they're going eastbound in the westbound lanes, and then they're getting back on Imperial Highway, and CHP's helping people get on their way that way. So that's a good sign here, but that doesn't help the overall situation where you have the east and the westbound lanes entirely shut down on this 91 freeway due to this armed standoff suspect. And from what we were hearing from that CHP helicopter that just flew through our shot there moments ago, is that the SWAT officers on the ground are kind of going to take a wait-and-see approach. They would like the suspect to give himself up peacefully, and they do not want to use force if they have to because they are operating on the assumption that he is armed and possibly distraught. There are 2 schools in the area. Those schools are Crescent Elementary School and Crescent Primary School. There are officers at both of those school locations, And school officials have told us that parents may go to those schools and pick up your child if you have a child at one of those schools, since they are on lockdown, but they are allowing children to be released to parents with ID. Oh, thank you. Was that from CHP 11? Okay. We are getting some additional information from the police helicopter overhead. The police helicopter is telling us that the suspect is on the phone, and he's on the phone with negotiators, and that is a phone in his left hand. So that's a little bit of good news here, that he's not holding a weapon, or at least we don't believe he's holding a weapon, and that he is at least communicating with negotiators who can hopefully convince this man, who's a man in his 40s, to bring this entire situation to an end and give himself up peacefully. This started almost 3 hours ago now in Corona, near the intersection of McKinley and Griffin. Corona police attempted to pull over this driver for an armed stalking allegation. Well, the suspect ran, ended up on the 91 westbound, and that's where Corona PD was in pursuit. And somehow, we don't know exactly how it came to a stop, but somehow the blue vehicle at the center of your screen, which was the center of this pursuit, came to a stop in the middle of the freeway, in that number 2 lane. Tilt down, Marcel. At which point, officers did receive information that the suspect was armed, and a standoff began. Call was made to Anaheim PD, because this is actually the city of Anaheim, where we're currently located on the 91 westbound, just before Lakeview Avenue. And so that's why the call to Anaheim PD was made, just because they, being in the city of Anaheim, they could respond with a Bearcat a little quicker. And then Corona responded with 2 of their own Bearcats to complete the standoff package, if you will. You have CHP here as well, being that it is on a highway. And it's been this way ever since. We've seen a little bit of movement from the driver, who is the original, we believe, we're being told, that's the original armed stalking suspect in the driver's seat. We believe that's the only occupant of this vehicle. And while we've seen some agitated movement, we haven't seen anything further than that. And we just received word that the suspect has been communicating with police, with negotiators via a cell phone. And that is some good news to hear, that the suspect is willing to communicate. Are you still on, Marcel? What What up? Oh, copy. As we continue to keep the camera trained on this blue Honda at the center of your screen, we are going to start preparing for Eyewitness News at 11 a.m. in about 5 minutes. We have our second Air 7 en route to this scene as well, so when we have to refuel, which we will have to in about 15 or so minutes, we will have our second helicopter here to continue to provide live pictures and hopefully provide us with a conclusion to this situation, hopefully in due time. Hopefully it doesn't last too much longer. But as we always say in these situations, time is on the side of the officers and not on the suspect. The suspect's going to get tired. They're going to have to go to the bathroom. But the officers, they can switch out with other officers. They have their entire SWAT teams, not just from Corona PD, but from Anaheim PD as well, as we see some of these bikers that have been stuck here for quite some time, over an hour, finally able to work themselves out of the traffic jam. They've been stuck up against the standoff, and you can see that yellow crime scene tape where the kind of standoff line begins, and then the traffic behind them finally turning around and clearing out, getting off on Imperial Highway. Now the backup on the 91 West before Imperial Highway, there's about a 5-mile backup there. You're being forced off once again on Imperial Highway, and I wouldn't be surprised if further down the bend they're suggesting drivers get off on the 71, but you could see that massive amount of traffic there being condensed down to one lane on Imperial Highway to get people around this armed standoff that has continued now for more than an hour, going on 2 hours now, currently in the city of Anaheim. We have 2 schools on lockdown, Crescent Elementary School and Crescent Primary School. Parents may head to those schools and pick up their children. If you have kids at either one of those schools, you may head directly to the school and pick up your child. They are on lockdown as a precaution because of the close proximity to the standoff itself. The Lakeview Avenue Bridge over the 91, that's also closed. You can't go north to south on that stretch. And the 55 north also shut down. You're not able to get onto the 91 from the 55 north. And let's not forget the eastbound 91. Although the backup doesn't seem as intense there, I'm wondering if they're getting people off on the 57. You're being forced onto the 55 from the eastbound 91. Stay with us here on our streaming platforms or tune to Channel 7 on television. We're going to start Eyewitness News at 11 a.m. in just a few minutes. Freeway 3. Yeah. Go ahead, Steph. Okay. What do we have on station, like 10? 15. So we... Hold on, Jay. Stop talking. Go ahead again, Steph. Okay. Yeah, so we'll do the hit, and then we'll probably still hang out for a few minutes, at least till 11, between 11:05 and 11:10. Copy. Go ahead. Okay, copy. .30. Once again to our streaming audience, stand by. We're about to go on television. Yeah, and going into the holiday weekend, it's definitely a traffic nightmare here for anyone driving through Anaheim on that 91 freeway, as you said. And this is why you're looking at the blue car at the center of your screen. That's the subject of a standoff with an armed suspect. This all started at about 8 a.m. in Corona. Corona tried to pull over this suspect for what they're calling armed stalking. That pursuit led to the 91 freeway, continued westbound, and somehow came to a stop here on the 91 freeway where Corona PD stopped the vehicle. They called a Bearcat from Anaheim PD. You could see that Bearcat on the left side of your screen. And then Corona PD brought in 2 of their Bearcats. They're treating this suspect with a lot of caution because they do believe he is armed. That's why they've shut down both directions of the 91 freeway. So those 2 freeways are closed. You have about 5 miles of backup in both directions. So the 91 freeway definitely off limits here. Another thing to consider, there is a school in the area, Crescent Elementary School and Crescent Primary School. Those 2 schools are in lockdown just out of precaution because of the proximity to this standoff scene. If you're a parent of a student at either one of those schools, you may head to the school and pick up your child, but that's just something to be aware of as well. But this has been going on, the standoff at least, for the better part of an hour, almost an hour and a half now, and you can see SWAT officers keeping their non-lethal weapons trained on this suspect. We understand the suspect is on the phone with negotiators, so that's some good news. That at least gives us an idea that this may hopefully be at least getting closer to an end. But CHP, Anaheim PD, Corona PD, all here right now working together to deal with this armed suspect in the middle of the freeway and deal with the freeway closure. Once again, both directions of the 91 are shut down, and the 55 north is shut down as you approach the 91. Ellen? We have about 10 minutes left. Probably on the... There's a newscopter here too. I'm hearing you, Steph. Okay.